Hi, within this section, we're going to focus on social engineering. We're going to see how to gather information about a user and how to create an attack strategy against that user. We're going to gather some information, we're going to create a strategy, and we're going to execute that strategy combining with our backdoor in order to gain access on the victim computer. So you're going to see some concepts like combining backdoors with PDF or JPEG files and then renaming their extensions in order to make them more trustable. Okay, so that's what we're going to do within this section. Now, if you're ready, let's get started.
Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to discuss how we can create a strategy for social engineering, and then we're going to see a tool called Maltego. So before we do that, let me explain you what social engineering is. So with social engineering, we want to gather information about our victim, and our victim in this case is a user. Okay, we're not going after machines, we're not going after ports or systems this time, we're going after the users. So whatever you do, users are the most vulnerable parts of the system. Okay, so you may have like 1,000 people on your company, you may have the latest versions of softwares, firewalls, antivirus solutions, but people will be always vulnerable. And social engineering means to gather information about the user and use that information against that particular user in order to make them do what we want them to do. For example, we may want to send them a backdoor, and if they double click on run this backdoor, we would get a session on our Kali Linux. Okay? And in order to make them double click, in order to make them run our backdoor, we should have a social engineering strategy. For example, suppose that you have a target, okay? So you're working for a company and you're trying to hack the CEO of the company in order to assess whether they are vulnerable or not. So with a quick scan of social medias, you find out that the CEO actually loves the dogs. Okay? So you may create a backdoor and you may find the CEO's dog picture and embed that picture into the backdoor and make your backdoor look like a dog picture, and then you may try to send this file to the CEO and wait for them to click on and run the backdoor. And we're going to try and do that within this section. So I'm going to show you a tool in order to have a structured strategy, and you don't have to use this tool, okay? You can do this manually, but I'm going to show you anyway. So I'm going to run apt-get install Maltego C, okay? So this is a tool specifically created for social engineering purposes, and this does not come pre-installed with Kali Linux, so you have to run this, and then you may try to find this on your applications. So this is named Maltego, and if you click on this, it will pop open Maltego for you. And again, you don't have to use this, but most professionals use this if they're going to work with social engineering strategies. And this Maltego has a free version and a paid version, and in my opinion, in my experience, free version does not work very well, but it does some jobs, okay? And the pro version actually works good, but we're going to see how to use it with free version, of course. So let me stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to see how to use this Maltego tool. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see how to use Maltego in our strategies. So when you first open Maltego, it may ask you to create a username and choose a password, and please do that because if you don't do it, it may not work properly. After you do that, here you can see the Transform Hub and it has some widgets built in. So you may try to explore those widgets, you may try to find one that attracts your attention and then try to install it and use it in your own strategies. But I'm not going to do that. We're just going to use Maltego in a basic way because we're going to use the free version anyway, and as I said before, pro version actually works well, but we may encounter some slowness or some limitations in the free version. So here you may see the menu of the Maltego and you may try to change the settings by clicking in here, this view and edit and collections. But what we are going to do is just to create a new graph. In order to do that, you should click on here, this plus button, and it will create a new graph for you. So graph is actually your workspace. Okay, so you may try to add some widgets to this graph and you may try to gather information about those widgets. What do I mean? Maltego actually provides us with information gathered all around the internet. So you may target a user, you may target a social media account, you may target a website, and Maltego will go and gather as much as information possible about that target. It doesn't only work with social accounts, but it also includes website attacks as well. And we're going to see website attacks in a different section, but for test purposes, let me show you how it's used. In the left pane, you will see an entity palette. Okay, if you don't see it, you may try to go to view on your menu and try to open the entity palette by yourselves. But here I have a website widget, and if I take this entity and drag it on my new graph, it will put it, and then I can change the settings of that entity. Here you have the menu. As I said before, you may try to open the entity palette from here, or you may try to add some new entities in here as well. After you put one of the entities on the graph, you should change the settings first. Okay, it comes with default settings, and if you click on it, you can come here to property view and see some options. As you can see, now we have a right pane as well. So here we have a left pane and the general graph on the middle section, and on the top section we have the menu and the options, of course, but also we have the right pane in which we have the options. So for example, if I double click on here, I can change the target website. So right now it says that paterva.com, but you can say w.unicornitems.com. So this is the website that we have tested within the man in the middle section, remember? So let me run an attack against unicornitems.com. Actually, it doesn't run an attack, it just gathers some information, and you will see what I mean. If you right click on this entity, it will give you some options to run transforms. Choosing these transforms means that choosing the request that we're going to do with this website. For example, you may want to find the domains, find the IP addresses, find some other stuff related to this website, and Maltego will take care of this. Of course, you can run all of these transforms, you can run all of these requests at once to see the whole package. In order to do that, you can just click here to play button. And I believe we have some error, but it's running. Yeah, we see it's running and we are getting information in here. As soon as we get a new information, it will appear on your graph. You should wait for a couple of minutes in order to let Maltego scan the results, in order to let Maltego send some request to those websites, and it will display the results on your graph. As you can see, now I'm getting information regarding my target website. You may try this with other websites as well, because it doesn't contain any harmful code inside, it just gathers basic information. Okay, from this overview we can just drag the graph in a way that you want. You may just try to go up and down. If you click one of the results, it will display the information regarding to that result on the right hand pane. As you can see, now I have an Apache result, I have some other results as well. So wait until it's over, then you will have a complete picture about that website. And as you can see, Maltego actually provides us a graphical user interface where we can display the results and connect the results to each other if needed. And we're going to analyze these results in a separate section. As I said before, we're going to see this in the website pen testing section, but for right now you may understand that this website is using WordPress, this website has this IP address, this website is using Apache server, this website is using some kind of WooCommerce plugin, retailer theme, and other information as well. So within minutes you can gather all of this information with Maltego, and you can display all of this information in a graphical user interface. And as I said before, Maltego is totally optional. We could do that with other tools, with online tools, and we could have just taken notes inside of a leaf pad as well. But this provides us a cool look, so I'm going to continue using Maltego during this section. So I'm going to stop here, and within the next lecture we will just see how to use Maltego in order to create some strategy against the user when we deal with social engineering. Hi! Within this lecture we're going to see how to use Maltego for creating a social engineering strategy. And in order to do that, I'm going to delete all of this because we're not going to use this website information. Okay, we're going to do that in the website pen testing section. Of course, you can create a new graph for you, but we only have one item in here, so it's better to delete it. And I'm going to this personal tab here and choose a person. So I'm going after a person, and suppose that you only know the surname and the name of that user. Okay, so I'm going to go after myself. I'm going to say my name is Atil and my surname is Sam. Okay, and hit enter. Now I'm going to run and transform against myself, and it may ask you to give an account for your Twitter or for your Facebook, and you should give one in order to run transforms against the user. Okay, my Twitter account has been given to this Maltego before, and when I use this transform it will find my Twitter account, for instance. Okay, if you click on here to run all transforms, you will see that it will ask you for a Twitter or Facebook account, and as long as you supply one, it will try and gather information from that website as well. And since I got my only Twitter account connected in here, it found our Twitter address. Okay, and remember, I did not give my personal Twitter account. I just have given a fake account in here, but it managed to find the Twitter account of myself. At this point, you might think that, okay, I could have done that with just Googling out the name myself. And yes, you can do it. As I said before, Maltego is totally optional. You can do it manually on your own, but Pro version of Maltego actually provides us deeper information rather than just going to social medias. It scans all the networks as well. But since we are at it, let me show you how to use Maltego. So here I right clicked on my user one more time, and as you can see, we can dig deeper by finding the person or finding some tweets and trying to find the connections of that user. Okay, so it will try to analyze the Twitter account of the target. So maybe I can run a transform against Twitter friends, right? So it may give me some clue about creating a strategy, a social engineering strategy against my target. And as you can see, it got me some results. So right now I can see a bunch of the target's friends. So let me delete this information. Okay, you don't have to do that. We're not going to use them in our strategy. So I'm just deleting some results from here. Okay, and I believe it just completed the scan right now. And after I clean this up, we will be ready to analyze these results. So I believe now we are okay. And what can you get out of someone's Twitter friends or someone's Twitter followers? You may try to understand what kind of a person he is or what kind of a job he is into. Okay, so our target is this guy, so this is Atil Sam, and actually this is a picture of me from 10 years ago. I'm more than 30 years old. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit so we can see my ugly picture and other results as well. So let me drag this a little bit here and let me zoom in a little bit more, and here we see some results. So it's perfectly clear that our target is related to Udemy, and our target is kind of a programmer. Okay, he's into ARKit and he's following some guy. If you Google out this guy, he's related to Rust language. I believe he works with Rust, and he works with Swift, iOS, and maybe he might be a teacher or student on Udemy. Of course, I can Google this guy out and I can find out that he is really instructor in Udemy. Okay? And I can build a strategy on that, right? What can I do? I can create a fake email to this guy and make it look like it's coming from Udemy and make it look like it's important, but rather than sending some regular email, I can just send a link directing him to a backdoor. Okay? And if this person thinks really that this email is coming from Udemy, he might open the email and he might download some file that we are spoofing, and he might open that file. And then we can get a session and we can hack into this guy's computer. Of course, this makes much more sense than just sending out a spammy email saying that click on this link and download my file. It won't work. And this may not work as well. If we dig deep enough, we will see that this guy is actually an ethical hacker, so he wouldn't fall for this trick, but it increases the chance of running our backdoor. Okay, so this is what social engineering is about. So we can create a strategy in order to increase our chance of hacking into. Of course, I did that only in 5 minutes. Professional agencies do that for months. They gather information, they dive into dumpsters to steal the company's information and try to make it a structured social engineering strategy. Of course, it increases the chances much more when we do that. I only did it in 5 minutes. And of course, I could have used a lot of other tools rather than Maltego. I could have used a lift path to start with. I could have just Googled this guy. However, I just wanted to show you the usage of Maltego. Maybe you can use it in your later career. Okay, so let's stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to discuss how to create a backdoor that looks like an image. Hi, within this lecture we're going to have our initial setup in order to create a backdoor that looks like an image. We need three things in order to achieve this. So first we need a backdoor, and we have already created a backdoor in the previous section. Okay, we can just get it and use it. And we're going to need an image, okay, the image that we want to embed in the backdoor. And I believe we can find this easily by googling out an image. And finally, we need a tool in order to embed this image into the backdoor. I'm going to show you a tool to do that as well within this lecture. So let me go to Google and Google my target. Okay, I'm just going to write my own name, and I believe this target has an iOS course in the Udemy. If I click on images here, I can select one of them and use it in my attack. So select one of the images, it really doesn't matter, and just download it in your Kali Linux. Okay? Of course, if you're planning another strategy in your case, you may want to Google something relevant for your example as well. So let me try to download this by right-clicking here, okay, and saying save as. So save image as something in my downloads folder. Okay, I'm going to name this iOS image. I'm going to save this. Okay, so we now have our image, and we can reach it from the download section. And what I'm going to do next is to take this picture, take this image, and embed in some of the backdoors that we have created before, and try to make our backdoor look like this image. And as I said before, in order to do that, we need a tool, right? So there are a lot of tools out there doing that. If you Google something like embedding images into backdoors or combining images with backdoors, they will show you a lot of results. They will show you a lot of tutorials. And in fact, I did the same thing, and I found out a tool that actually works. Of course, if it doesn't work for you, you can try other options as well. But I'm going to show you how to do that with a tool called Fake Image Exploiter. Okay, so I have the GitHub address in here. Don't worry, I'm going to share this address with you in the lecture resources. Okay, and you can of course just find this by writing Fake Image Exploiter in Google as well. But I'm going to share you the URL, don't worry about it. So let me go to my Firefox and just try to open this web page. And since we are going to GitHub, guess what? We're going to use git clone technique that we have seen before. So we already installed Git repositories on our Kali Linux. Now we can git clone everything we want. And in here, when you scroll down, you will see the instructions for installing this as well. But we already know how to do that, right? We did it before. And I'm going to show you as well. So if you skip the previous sections, maybe you may want to go back to understand, but don't worry, this is a very easy process. All you have to do is just copy the URL of the GitHub page and then run it with git clone on your command line. And of course you want to go to some folder. For example, we always use optional folder in order to install optional tools, and you may want to do that as well because this command will download everything on that specific folder. So before I run this git clone command, I'm going to cd into my opt folder. And remember, we have to go to home, cd ... and then cd opt. And then if I do ls, you will see fake image exploiter has been downloaded for me previously, but it really doesn't matter. I have other tools here as well, like wheel, metasploit theta, and I will just run this git clone command, and it will give me a warning saying that this is already installed for you, but if you run this git clone followed by the URL, it will download the folder in your Kali Linux machine in the specified folder like we did before. If you got here, then it's better to stop, because in the next lecture we're going to discuss how to start this fake image exploiter and how to use it. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see how to use the fake image exploiter that we have installed previously. So I'm going to cd into that folder, and I'm going to run ls to see the contents. As you can see, we have this sh file, this is the main file, and before we run that, we have this settings file to set up. So I'm going to run livepad settings in order to open this with a notepad. And we're going to adjust the settings from here. As you can see, first we have to choose the file type. So best way to do that is to go to downloads folder. Okay, previously we have downloaded an image, as you might remember, and as you can see, our image has the extension of JPEG. So I'm going to keep this as JPEG and move to the other one. So here we have the payload extension, and as you might remember, our payloads, our backdoors, has in fact the extension of exe. So I'm not going to change that as well, and I'm going to leave it as exe. And in here we have a bypass setting that you need to leave as no, but if it doesn't work for you, if you get an error after you execute that sh file, then you should come back here and change it to yes and try one more time. And after the bypass, we have the Apache web root. Okay, so this is where it's going to be stored. So as you might remember, our Apache server actually uses this folder, var whtml. So this is good for us as well, and I'm going to just keep it in this form again. And I believe we are now done here. So let me try to scroll down. Yeah, everything seems to be fine. I'm going to save this. Actually, we didn't change anything, so I'm just gonna close this down, and then later on I'm gonna say bash fake image exploiter.sh, and it will run the fake image exploiter for me. If you have changed your settings, then you should save it and then run this file in the same way as I did. So if you get an error in this case, then you should go back and do the bypass thing as I said before. So here it says execute framework, and I will say yes, and it will ask me to choose the payload. So this will be the payload, this will be the backdoor that we have created. And remember, it's stored under var whtml. under my Apache web root. Okay, so if this is stored anywhere else on your computer, you need to find it. Then it will ask you to choose the image to be used, okay, and it will combine these two together. So it's under my downloads and I have chosen it. And then later on, if you have an icon file, you should choose it from here, but right now we don't have any icons. I will later show you how to get one, don't worry. So I'm just going to go with black icon. And finally, I need a payload final name. I'm going to name this test1. So it will create my new backdoor for me. Actually, it will just combine the backdoor with my JPEG file and create a new file out of this. So it will take a while, and then later on it will ask me my L host. And as you might remember, our L host is the local host, our local IP address. So this is 10.02.15 in our case. And the port is 8080, and as you can see, it asks us to choose the payload. So our payload is Windows Meterpreter reverse HTTP. It even starts a handler for us. Okay, so in the previous section we did it with Metasploit framework, right? We have used multi-handler inside of Metasploit, and this fake image exploiter has its own multi-handler, and it just starts this for you. So if you go to your Apache web root right now, you will see your newly created backdoor file. So right now I have this test.zip file in here, and it's automatically zipped for you. And if I go to my Windows virtual machine, then I can try to reach my Apache server. And if you're not running Apache server, of course you need to run service Apache to start first, but mine is already running, so I'm going to just download my file from my website. And this is finished downloading. I'm going to unzip this. If you don't have any WinRAR or WinZip on your Windows machine, then of course you can Google and install it, but I have one, and as you can see, now I have my test1 jpeg.exe file. So if I double click on it, it will open this exe file and it will display the image for me. So it runs the backdoor on the background, but the user will see the image itself. So if you can get user to double click on this, and if he or she doesn't get suspicious, it will run, and as you can see, you will have your Meterpreter session opened in your Kali Linux. Now you can interact with the hacked computer. I'm not gonna do that, but rather we're going to stop here, but in the next lecture we're going to make our file look like more realistic, look like more convincing to our victim user. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to make our newly created backdoor look like more realistic, more convincing to the victim user. Right now we have our image embedded in this file, but it has an exe extension and it doesn't have an icon. Okay, so it shows a black icon in here and we don't want that. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to go over to my Kali Linux machine in order to show you how to embed icon files also in the fake image exploiter, and then in the next lecture we're going to discuss how to change extensions as well. So first I need an icon, okay? And I'm going to convert my image to an icon file. And in order to do that, we have a lot of free online tools. If you go to Google and say make icon from JPEG online free, okay? It will show you a lot of results. And I've tested a lot of these results, and every one seems to be working. So you can easily find one to create an ICO file. So just click one of this file, and as you can see, I'm using imageonlineconvert.com. Later on, I will use another ones in another sections. And I'm going to use a JPEG, and which is my only JPEG actually, and this website will convert this JPEG to be an icon file. So I can use this icon file and embed it on my newly created backdoor. And I believe this is now processing, yes, and as you can see, now it's done. Once it's done, it will save an ICO file on my computer. So extension should be ICO, okay? So let me go to my downloads folder, and as you can see, it looks exactly like my image, but it's not a JPEG file, it's rather an icon. So as you might remember, Windows actually shows users the representation of the JPEG in an icon. So it needs to be same way in our case as well. So I'm going to run fake image exploiter, but first I need to go to opt and then fake image exploiter so that I can run bash fake image exploiter.sh command. And I will do the same things that we have done in the previous lecture. So it isn't different, but we are now going to introduce our newly created icon file as well. So I'm going to say OK to this, and then say yeah, execute the framework for me, and it will ask me to choose the payload. Now I'm going to choose the same payload before, so let me go to var, let me go to my Apache webroot and choose this James payload. And then later on we need an image, so choose the JPEG, not the icon, but this time you can choose the icon. Okay, say input your own icon, and it will ask you to choose your icon, and then go to downloads and choose it as well. So our test 2 is going to be created once I hit OK. So now it will combine three things: my backdoor, my image, and my icon, so it would be more convincing to the victim user. And I think in a minute it will ask me to give my L port and L host, yeah. So I'm going to give it as usual 10.02.15 AD and Windows meterpreter reverse HTTP. So it would start my payload multi-handler. And of course, you don't have to do this within fake image exploiter. You can just close this down and open Metasploit framework and start listening from there as well. But it is kind enough for you to start the listener, so we would better use it. And as you can see, we have test2.zip in here. So right now I'm going to switch to my VirtualBox to my Windows machine, and I'm going to try and download my newly created backdoor. So right now, rather than test1, I'm going to say test2.zip and save this file. And I believe we don't even need to run this file because we have tested it, but we should see how it looks like. Okay, so let me unzip this file. Okay, say extract here, and then later on let me see how it looks like. Yeah, now it is clear, we can see the icon, but let me just change this view from here to large icons, and now we can clearly see that our icon is in place. However, we still have some issues like this extension in here. So the extension is still exe, and we're going to see how to change it in the next lecture. But even though we change it, the user might not double click and run this if they get suspicious. I know there is always this risk. I know this is not guaranteed, but in social engineering, we are trying to increase the chance of running this. Okay, so we are trying to decrease the suspicion by making these adjustments. If they decrease the risk of suspicion, then we are doing a good job. So let's stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to discuss how to change this extension. In fact, I should say how to spoof this extension. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see how to change the extension of the backdoor. In fact, we're not going to change the extension. We're just going to make it look like it's changed, because if we change the real extension, then exe file won't work. So we're going to use this characters application. Okay, you can just find it by writing characters in your applications, and I'm going to explain you why we are using some characters. These character tools provide us different ways to manipulate the texts. Okay, so we're going to manipulate our text, manipulate our backdoor name to look like it's JPEG, where actually it is an exe file. So let me go and find my backdoor and explain you more clearly what I'm talking about. So let me unzip this file by just right-clicking here and saying extract. And if I go to this folder, then I can find my test2jpeg.exe. So if you click here and say rename, you can actually change the extension from here. But if we change it really, then it wouldn't work, as I said before. So we're going to spoof this. We're going to manipulate this. So let me copy this text and open a leaf pad from here and paste it in here. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this jpeg.exe file and I'm going to change the order of this jpeg.exe. So this is how it works. We're going to use something called right to left, and it will just reverse the order of these characters. So if you write it like this, jpj.exe, it will reverse it for you. If you come here and search for right to left, then you will see these tools. Okay, we're looking for right to left overwrite. It's best to show you with example so that you can understand better. So click here, copy character thing, and then find the letter starting with G and hit Ctrl V on your keyboard. As you can see, it reversed the order of characters. So if I delete this test2 and replace it with something relevant like PL, for instance, so the user will think that it is plexi.jpg. However, in fact, this is only pljpg.exe. So if you say rename and delete the whole thing and paste the copied characters in here, if you click rename, now you have plexi.jpg. However, in fact, this is not plexi.jpg, this is pljpj.exe. We are only messing with the order of characters. Okay, we didn't change the extension, we only spoofed the extension. So this is really pljpj.exe. We only reversed the last 7 characters. So whenever a user sees this, they will think that this is a JPG file, however, it would be an exe file. This is how you spoof the extensions. You cannot change the extensions, you only spoof them. Now I think we are ready to transfer this to our Windows machine. Now if you go to your Windows machine and try to reach to your web server here, 10.02.15. Now I believe this is not .zip but test2 folder. If you try to download this plexi.jpg file and say save and open your folder, now it looks like a JPEG really, right? So if you're knowledgeable about this stuff, you may try to view this. Let me do this with large icons so you can see it better. You may try to view this in order to understand if you're getting spoofed or not. So if you try to rename here, then you will see that this is actually plgpj.exe. This is only reversed, but it looks like plexi.jpg when you first look at it. So if a user double clicks on this, it will run the backdoor in background and it will display the image to the user, so user won't get suspicious because it looks like a JPEG, and of course it will ask user to run this or not, so maybe user can back off at this moment, but we are taking that risk anyway, so user will click on run and it will display the image and we would have our session. So if you go here, you can see that you are now hacked into the victim machine. Now you have your meterpreter session. So we're going to stop here at this moment, and within the next lecture, we're going to see how to spoof emails, how to send fake emails from the address that we want to the victim machine, to the victim user. Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to see how to send fake emails, how to send spoofed emails to the victim user. Okay? And there are a lot of tools online in order to achieve this result. And I suggest you test these tools before using them, because there are a lot of tools and some of them are free and some of them are paid, and of course paid ones are actually working, whereas the free ones might fail. So I'm going to Google and I'm going to search for online mailer anonymous. Okay, and I will hit enter, and as you can see we got a lot of results, millions of them actually. So I'm going to use one of those, like anonymousmail.me or sendanonymousemail.net. It really doesn't matter, this is just for test purposes. Okay, I'm just going to choose one of them and try to send an email. So they have some options, like you can choose what's your name, what's your surname, what's your email. So this is important. You can say that your name is Udemy admin, and you can actually specify your email. So this will look like it's coming from admin@udemy.com, and it will send the email to atilsam@gmail.com, and for subject I will say this is an important image change. So I'm going to make it look like this is coming from the Udemy and saying that, okay, we have a new image for your course. Okay, and we will say that we recommend you to review this image, review it and post it online. And I will add, you can find the link. And maybe you're thinking right now why I am choosing to send this via link, why I am trying to upload this to a link and not just attaching this to my email. Because if you attach this to an email, it will fail 99% of the time. And in real life examples, you should not use your Apache server as well, because then you're going to have to use your own public IP to transfer this data. Rather, I suggest you go to something like WeTransfer or Dropbox and try to shorten that URL with a URL shortener like bit.ly.com. If you paste your link, it will create a new link for you so that you can just paste this link in here and send it to the victim user. Okay, so when user clicks on this, it will take him or her to the actual website where he or she can download the backdoor. And again, don't use your Apache server link, use something like Dropbox, use something like WeTransfer in order to achieve this result. So after you do that, after you're certain that your backdoor is uploaded to a server like WeTransfer or Dropbox, and after you shorten your URL with bit.ly.com or another URL shortener service, then you're ready to send this fake email. Okay? And sometimes this will work, sometimes it will take you more than one try to find an online anonymous mailer service that is working. And I believe I have to prove that I'm not a robot, so let me choose this bot. And I suck at this, I always miss one. Yeah, I believe this is a bot as well, so let me try this way. Okay, it looks like I'm not a robot and my email was sent successfully. If you cannot do that, or if your email isn't delivered, I suggest you try other tools. But right now I'm going to open my email from my Windows machine so that I can confirm that I got this email from Udemy admin. And it's important not to get this email in spam, okay? It's important that I have this on my inbox. And as you can see, I have Udemy admin here, and the subject is important image change, so it looks like this is working. So as you can see, I have the link here. If I click on it, I will see the plexi.jpg. I will download it. I will open a folder and try to run this. Okay, I will see that this is an image from Udemy, and even though I know all this stuff, I will say run, and it will start the backdoor on background, which I'm not seeing right now. Even though I close this, it will still be running on my Kali Linux, and as you can see, I have the MeterPeter session opened in here. So we managed to create a strategy, social engineering strategy, and we managed to execute it via some tools like fake image exploiter, characters, icons, and some anonymous mail senders. You can try to create your own social engineering strategy with whole sets of different tools as well. As you can see, this has an advertisement in the signature, so it doesn't look too realistic. So maybe you should consider using a paid service. If you're working for a company, it would make much more sense. So let's stop here, and within the next section, we're going to focus on social media security.
Hi, now you know how to use Maltego, now you know how to use fake image exploiter, and making your files look like another file by spoofing their extensions. So actually you know how to send fake emails as well. You can create a strategy combining all of these techniques and have a proper social engineering way. Now let's stop here, because within the next section we're going to discuss how hackers use this kind of social engineering methods in order to steal some social media passwords like Instagram.